We started off in this, this is March 8th, 1986. I was just a young twerp. I was following my own dream, my own passion. That was it. It was plain and simple. Something I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. Let's go to the top of the world by dog team. I didn't know they'd all be dogs, and I didn't know I'd have these 7 guys. But the rest of the ingredients were kind of fitting in the dream, and I was working with the things that were kind of new to the whole equation. And I do have one wolf story. I'm going to make it really quick because it has nothing to do with anything other than it's a wolf story. And it took us, we had to shuttle. We started off with 8 people and all these dogs. We were supposed to have 50 dogs, but one decided it wasn't for them and took off right as the plane was getting ready to take off. And so we headed up, and we were up in the middle of nowhere right before we head out. This is our very first day. And I'm the last person to head out, and I've got a pack of dogs and a bunch of gear, and it's just bitter, bitter cold. The rest of the team had worked their way to the ice, and we're all collecting, because these planes are so small that can land with skis on them. And I'm sitting there, and I'm at this little funky little runway in a tiny little building with some of these people studying the weather, which I always thought was kind of interesting, because it's just cold. I mean, just why go up there and report that it's cold? So they did, but so I'm sitting there, and this guy comes to me, and he goes, I'm a little nervous. The wolves have come in, and they've circled your dogs. So I grab the rifle, and I go up to the airstrip up the road. They drive me up there, and then they leave me. And I sit down on a box trying to get my feet off of the ice, and I cradle the rifle, and a pack of white wolves had circled us. It was beautiful. It was absolutely spectacular. And of course, I'm not going to shoot a thing. So I start to negotiate and use all my negotiative communicating skills that I'm really going to need out on the ice with the 7 guys. And I start talking to them, and I'm like, you got to move back. Because they figured out that our dogs were chained up. They're huskies and wolves are pretty similar. And it all worked out. They backed off, and I spent a very cold night on that crate, shivering to death, negotiating with these beautiful, beautiful white wolves who are highly intelligent and very much work together. So the metaphor for me, for all of you, is really something that resonates really great. I just want to share a couple of stories with you, because these trips for me are my way of teaching. I use the expedition metaphor as a way to talk about what you've been talking about all day: passion, support, giving back, reaching our goals, overcoming obstacles. All the things that have been spoken about today are the things that happen on an expedition. And we talk to people all the time who do not have this same dream. This is me as a little kid in Africa. And I grew up in an incredibly supportive environment where my family did not clip my wings. They supported me even though they thought my dreams were pretty crazy, because I dreamed as a little girl to go to the top and the bottom of the world. My peers weren't particularly supportive, but that woman in this picture, my mother, she wanted to see me in a dress a little bit more often. But she got a tomboy who was dreaming about dog sledding to the North Pole, and she made me believe it was possible, and that my dream wasn't stupid. And it took me a long time to get to my dream. I went off to be a teacher first. Sometimes you have sort of circuitous paths in overcoming, the obstacles that keep you on your path. But it was also spoken earlier today, we got to keep focused. We've got to put people around us. Jackie talked about this. You got to put people around you that won't squelch your dream. They might think it's a little crazy, but they will nurture it because they believe it's best for you. And I dreamed about being a teacher, but I also dreamed about going to the top of the world by dog team. And it took me a long time to get there. Small, small steps. I wasn't nearly as good at the long jump as Jackie. There are no medals hanging around my neck. But there was a high incentive to make those leaps, those jumps in life, because I had a passion, It was where I felt best about myself. And so I had to keep on going, keep on going. I didn't always make the jump, but I had people that picked me up and kept telling me that I could. And every once in a while, you achieve a dream. You achieve a goal. And there's a lot of stumbling in it. People think, oh, you know, you're so lucky you made your dream, you know, it came true and all of this. Dreams are hard. I think we forget that dreams are hard. And this is not your big moment. This is standing at the top of the world on May 1st, 1986. And I, you know, like many of the stories that you've heard this morning, I had self-doubt. There were times when I fell on my rear end and had a little cry. And the dogs were my best friends because they never tell your secrets. You just bury your frostbitten nose in their face and have a good cry, and it all works out. And usually after a good night's sleep, life is a little better. But the big moment is not the end moment. That's a misnomer. And that was a real evolution to learning for me. It took a lot of expeditions, not just this one, to understand that the end point is really not the glorious thing that you envision. It really is all about the journey. It was those stumbling places. It was working together and figuring out a way to communicate with each other, with the dogs, with the entire team that made the experience rich.